Right, today we are looking at 5-finger statistics. So when we do comparative data, we want to be able to compare two groups. And to compare two groups, we want to be able to graph something that chunks it up. So 5-finger data actually helps us chunk up our data. So if we've got all of this data, let's say we've got a whole lot like this, all right, we can cut it into chunks. Now, those chunks don't have to be equal size. So we've got the lowest number here and the highest number here. I'm going to call it, now we'll call it high. All right. And then somewhere in between there, we've got the middle. Now, what is our name for the middle? The middle is the median. All right. So the median's in here somewhere. I'm going to put it about here. It doesn't have to be. It's the middle of the numbers, all right? So these numbers might be a little bit higher in the chunks than these ones. There is a middle between each of those bars. So there's a middle of this one and a middle of that one. Does anybody know what they're called? Can anybody remember from last year? Or the year before? Maybe not. Okay, so when we cut the middle, when we cut half and half, we get what we call a quartile. Why do you think it's called a quartile? Yes. So what does a quarter stand for? Fourths, right? Whenever we see Q-U-A-R-T, it stands for 4. So we're going to cut it up. We're going to make the lower quartile here. And I'm going to make the upper quartile right bang smack in the middle. Now, that's a lot to write. So we don't write that. We just write UQ. We just write LQ. Now, that means that when we're talking about this data, we can say that the whole width of the data is from the lowest number to the highest number. Each of these others has a quarter of the data. So how much is that as a percent? A quarter is how much percent? 25. Good. 25%. In here, there is 25%. In here, there's 25%. And here, there's 25%. Now, they're not equal size, but there is still a quarter of the data in there. So we can say that one's the smallest. There's a lot more data in there than in this one or this one or this one, because there's still a quarter of the data in there. So if we had 20 things that we were doing, 5 would be in that little bit, 5 would be in that huge bit, 5 would be in that little bit, and that little bit would be the same because I tried to make them equal. All right, so we could talk about the fact that the lower half is a lot wider or has a bigger range than the upper half. Range is a pretty tricky word though, because range is we found out yesterday, by taking the lowest from the highest, and the answer is the range. You'll hear me say these sentences because they come from the stats rack, and that's how I remember things. It's the whole world to see now on my YouTube channel, me stopping waiting for you guys. All right, it's a good thing I'm not mentioning your names. All right, so we can also find out where the middle 50% is. All right, the middle 50% is between these two amounts. So that's an interesting place too. So between here and here is the middle 50%, but it's got a special name. It's called the IQR. That stands for the Interquartile. So between the quartile range. All right. So now we've got a lot of statistics that we can talk about once we get to our analysing stage. But for the moment, we need to figure out how we find the five-finger statistics. So upper quartile, median, lower quartile, lower. So we always have those 5 fingers. high, upper quartile, median, lower quartile, low. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is get a group of numbers. So I'm going to use the same numbers as yesterday. Somebody want to read them out again to me? Numbers from yesterday.
1, 3, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 15.
All right. So we worked out yesterday that we have got 11 numbers. Okay. Well, today I want to know all of these things. So we generally write them down the page. So the lower is 1. The lower quartile we'll come back to. The median we worked out yesterday was 9. The upper quartile and the highest is 15. So the two in the middle of there are the new ones that we're trying to find. They're the middle of that group. So if 9, this one, is the median. If he's the median, he can't be in the lower or in the upper. So he no longer counts. All right? If he's the median, he's not a lower, he's not an upper, he no longer counts. So we're looking for the middle of these 5 and the middle of these 5. All right? So the middle of the bottom is 7. There's 2 above and 2 below. The middle of the top is 11. So the lower quartile is 7. The upper quartile is 11. The interquartile range is 11 minus 7 equals 4. We're going to do another one. This time we're going to have a different number of statistics. So I'm going to add 2 into it. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 8. You wouldn't think that changes things by much, but it does. All right, we've now got 12 numbers. So now if I'm looking for the middle, if I go inwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have a middle. What happens if I don't have a middle? What did we say yesterday? We go halfway in between. Right, Pootie? Halfway in between. All right, so that is here. What number is it going to be? 8.5. All right, so the lower is still 1. The lower quartile we haven't done. The median this time is halfway in between, 8.5 or 8.5. The upper quartile, the highest, and the interquartile range. Okay, so this time we have a new number that is the median. That means all of the other numbers are still in our set. These are the lower ones, these are the higher ones. We need to find the median of the lower ones. So that's those 6. Where will it be? Where will the median be? Between 3 and 7. Halfway between 3 and 7, and up here it will be between 9 and 11. That one's easy to find. That one is 10. This one is not as easy as to find. So what we do is we add them up. 3 and 7 is 10, and we divide by 2 is 5. So the interquartile range is 10 minus 5 equals 5. So what changed? The upper quartile changed, the lower quartile changed, the median changed, all because we added one number. But that is the way we find our 5-finger statistics.